Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Big Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Monday, February 26, 2024. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Monday in college hoops. First up, we see Miami and North Carolina. This one's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern start time. It's going to be on ESPN. I figure at the beginning of the season, we probably thought this was going to be a much more exciting matchup than it is at this point in the year. Now, Miami on a 6-game losing streak. They've lost 7 of the last 8. They're struggling in general, but they're also struggling with the injury bug, missing some key players in recent games. But to me, it's kind of a similar spot to the Michigan-Purdue game we saw on Sunday, where Michigan was also struggling. It's been a disaster season for the Wolverines overall. They had some injury concerns going into that game, but it still was a case of just way too many points. And even a shorthanded Michigan team that was struggling was able to cover that big number at home against Purdue. And I think that even on the road here, Miami's good enough to cover this number. Just a case of too many points. Miami's still a really good shooting team, especially from the perimeter. And those are dangerous teams when you're giving them a lot of points. Miami's pulled off some nice upsets this year. They were competitive in the first matchup of the season series. I'm going to take the points here with the Hurricanes in this one. Next up, we see West Virginia and Kansas State. This one's going to be also 7 p.m. Eastern. This game's going to be on ESPN2. Now, give West Virginia credit for covering the number against Iowa State in the last game. It wasn't an outright W, but it was a close game, 71-64. But in the second straight true road game for a team that has yet to win a road game in all this season, I just think this is a bad spot for the Mountaineers. Fundamentally, one of the weakest teams in this conference and in power basketball in general. Shot quality-wise, not good enough in my opinion. Kansas State has been solid at home. We've seen them take down some really tough teams at home, BYU most recently, Kansas, Baylor, and while in those games they were a lot lighter spreads than we see here, I still think Kansas State's good enough in this matchup defensively. A top 15 team in adjusted defensive efficiency. I think the offense is underrated. While I would like to see this team take better care of the basketball. The shot quality numbers aren't too bad. They get to the free throw line, and they're a strong offensive rebounding team. That's important. West Virginia, one of the weakest rebounding teams in this conference. So K-State should have a big advantage on both sides of the boards. And I think it's enough here for a win and a cover in blowout fashion. I'm going to take Kansas State and lay the points. Next up, let's go to the SWAC as Texas Southern takes on Arkansas Pine Bluff. This one's going to be an 8:30 Eastern start time. It's really tough to go against Texas Southern at this point of the season each year. I mean, these are the kings of the SWAC in the last couple of years, making it to the NCAA tournament plenty of times. And while it was a slow start to both the non-conference play and conference play, we see Texas Southern now on a 2-game win streak. They've won 6 of the last 8, and they're 9-5 in conference play. They go into this game playing with revenge. They lost to Pine Bluff at the beginning of conference play at home, a 70-67 final score. And while they lost that game, I still think in this spot they're the much better team, especially on the defensive end. This is actually a defense that can compete with a lot of mid-major schools and even some power schools. Texas Southern 150 in adjusted defensive efficiency, 71st in effective field goal percentage defense. They're tough against the 3. They're tough against 2-point shots as well. Pine Bluff, while they upset Texas Southern at the beginning of the year, this is still fundamentally not a sound team, especially on the glass. They turn the ball over way too much. And I don't think they're going to have enough here offensively to compete in this game. I got to go with Texas Southern. They're just on a roll right now. I'm going to lay the points with the Tigers. Next up, we see Prairie View A&M taking on Mississippi Valley State. This one's also going to be 8:30 Eastern in the SWAC. It's funny, Jay Briggs on Saturday, the morning show, he asked me, is Mississippi Valley State really going to go winless this season? And I said, going into that Texas Southern game, KenPom had them at a greater than 60% chance to go winless, and they lost that game by 21 points, and now it's up to 70.7%. I do think they do go winless in the regular season, but if they had a chance to win a game outright, I think this would be the game. I mean, they're playing at home. This is the last home game of the regular season, and we've seen Mississippi Valley, not just this season, but in previous years as well, be competitive enough to cover these spreads at home as just a huge underdog. And, we've seen single-digit results in SWAC games at home for Mississippi Valley in the games against Jackson State, Arkansas Pine Bluff. It was an 11-point game against Florida A&M, so, kind of a competitive game there. And Alabama A&M and Alabama State. So Prairie View A&M's on a 3-game losing streak, and they're not fundamentally sound. They force a lot of turnovers, and they should have 20-plus in this game. But is that enough to win and cover this number when you're not in good form to begin with? Giving up 77, 83, and 72 the last 3 games? I don't think so. I think Prairie View wins the game. I think Mississippi Valley covers. I'm going to take the points here with the Delta Devils. And the final game we're talking about for the Monday card in college basketball, it's going to be Baylor and TCU. This one's going to be a 9 p.m. Eastern start time on ESPN. Certainly the game of the night for the Monday card. And Baylor's played in a lot of Game of the Year candidates this season, as they played in 4 overtime games in conference play. And unfortunately for the Bears, they've kind of suffered in most of those games with a 1-3 overtime record. And that includes the last game against Houston, where they lost in overtime by 6 points, but also includes the triple overtime thriller against TCU, these Horned Frogs, in the first matchup of the season series, 105-102. But Baylor's playing with revenge in this game, and while they're not necessarily known as a team that plays too well on the road, they still have some nice true road wins in conference play. And I think they can really build on what they did against Houston in that last game. I personally believe that Houston's the best team in the country, and Houston was up 16 points at halftime in that game. They looked like they were running away with that one. I mean, so when you look at the box score, just sustainable basketball from Houston. They forced a lot of turnovers. They were scoring a lot of 2-point buckets. It wasn't like they were having an amazing shooting day from the perimeter. It was just scoring those sustainable buckets, and they were dominant. But Baylor was able to find the recipe to get back in that game, force overtime, make a game of it. And if a few free throws go their way, they win that game outright against, like I said, the team I believe is number 1 in the country. So I got to give Baylor credit for that performance. And TCU, they turn the ball over quite a bit offensively. They take a lot of fouls defensively. I think that's going to be a key in this game. Baylor scores a lot of its points from the free throw line, and while their free throw percentage numbers aren't the best, it's still a team that's ranked 3rd in the country in three-point shooting. So we know that they can shoot the basketball. And TCU, like I said, takes a lot of fouls. I think Baylor's going to get 20-plus free throw opportunities in this game, and that could be enough in a close game, which we expect an entertaining close game. I think that's going to be the difference maker here. I'm going to take Baylor. It'd be nice to see him get Langston Love back. He's their best three-point shooter, 49% on the season. But even if he's not in the game, I think Baylor has enough here, and I like what I saw from them in that second half against Houston. I think they build off of that performance. Give me Baylor in this one. I think there's value with the Bears in this spot. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium, and there's a link in the description. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.